Welcome to Guest of the Year. I'm the host. My name's Mike. This week's guest setlist curator is Cam Herdt. Cam is a comedian and host of Best Show Ever on Osiris Media, where the likes of Tom Marshall, Rick and Peter from Goose, Matt Bush, Steve Silberman, and more have recounted the best show they've ever attended. It turns out that people recounting impactful shows is often hilarious, always insightful, and remarkably revealing. Also, if you're in the Chicago area, check out Cam at Garcia's on August 29th. All of those links are in the show notes. Welcome, Cam.
Dude, Mike, thank you, man. And thank you for announcing my big show. That's the first time it's been announced publicly. So thank you for announcing that.
What an honor. An honor.
Hell yeah.
All right, here's how the game works. We'll play the first part of a Grateful Dead live track, and each contestant will use the messaging system to silently guess which year their performance is from. Contestants who are all on a video conference together can message in their guesses at any time during the clip or in the 10 seconds after it concludes. Whoever's furthest off is eliminated. The final two contestants will hear 3 tracks, and whoever is the least number of years off in aggregate wins and continues on to next week. Our returning champ, Nick, is here, and we'll meet the rest of the Deadheads in a moment, but first, without further ado, the Grateful Dead.
Make of a day, I will dance on the grave. If unable to dance, I will go across the room. Unable to dance, I will go. Yeah! Able to dance, I'll go. Yeah!
It was Hell in a Bucket at Alpine Valley Music Theater in East Troy, Wisconsin on July 19th, 1989. Cam, tell us about that Hell in the Bucket.
Yeah, I mean, this is from the, Downhill from Here weekend. It's not that show. It's the third show of that weekend. Alpine Valley, if you are from the Midwest, it's a deeply important venue to you for something, whether you saw Fish there or the Dead there or anything like that. And it's generally, if you've been there, it's a generally untouched, unupgraded venue, for better or for worse. And so it feels like stepping into a time machine when you get to go there anyway. There's not as many ads, it's not like a perfect situation. It's a little imperfect. It's actually like, should the venue even be right here? And Hell in a Bucket specifically, this being the first summer, not, me personally not seeing Bob in the last 10 years, if you don't count COVID or whatever. And then, the first time anyone's not going to see him on tour since 1968 or 9, or it's just crazy to not be able to see him. And more than any song right now that I think that makes me miss Bob is Hell in a Bucket. Bob would talk about how songs are like characters from real places that he was invoking, and bringing into our world or whatever. And I think that Hell in a Bucket is not that. It's just him standing right in front of us telling us about his life. Like he's showing a biker a picture of a pretty lady and then being like, and if he was here, I'd look even better because he'd be a fucking asshole and, and I would be falling over, but I'd still look pretty good because I'm not riding a bike in your house. And so, yeah, we'll be getting more Bob in the segments here, but yeah, that's why I picked that one.
Speaking of Bob, you do a great Bob impression on Instagram. How do you balance giving people what they want because it gets hundreds of thousands of views versus overdoing it and killing the bit?
That is my favorite impression to do. It's the one I do the best. I would say too, if I was rating my impressions, it's pretty good. But I love talking like Bob. Once I start doing it, I can do it all day long until I go to bed. And so it's tough to not do part 115 of the same Bobby video over and over and over again. But I said when I started making stuff on the internet that I wasn't going to do the same joke over and over. Maybe we'll joke about the same thing over and over again or something, but not, like I said, part 89 of the same bit. But yeah, I feel like I could. I haven't done it since he passed. It feels disrespectful right now. I don't know. I just don't want anyone to feel poorly about that. But I miss him. I miss doing it, and if at some point there, I probably could have had a separate Instagram of just Bob Weir saying lyrics to different songs,
You do stand up at GA standing concert venues before musicians do their thing and during set break. How much harder is it to do comedy in a GA venue, concert venue, than it is in a comedy club?
Oh man, so like 100 times harder. So much harder. It's so much harder. First of all, in a comedy club, there's not gonna be music ever. So you're not you're not waiting. Like I feel like anytime anyone comes on stage and talks before a band that you're gonna see, it just sounds like Charlie Brown's Teacher. It's just like wah 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 wah. You're like, why the fuck is this person talking right now? What is, even if it's funny or good or like, you're just like, why is this happening? And you know, like comedy clubs are like designed for the comedy experience. You sit at tables really close to people, like your shoulders are right next to them, and you know, like to get the laughs to be infectious in the room and like infect the whole little group. And you know, in the standing room situation, with some of these places, the room's a little more spaced out. It's you know, people are kind of walking around and like checking in at the bar in the back of the room and like meeting up. You know, some of these things are at like a night zero event, or you know, before people are going to go see music, and it's like they want to meet up with their buddy from the other part of the country that they never get to hang out with. And then I'm up there being like, what if Bob was this? You know, like it's like shut up, dude. And so yeah, it's luckily at this point now people know that I'm going to be talking about music, and I'm going to be joking about the thing that they're going to see, or the show that's going to happen, or like about going to the show. And so at least they know that I'm like talking about what's happening and then I'm going to get out of the way so that music can happen and everyone can have a good time.
But when you do this, it's so much harder, right? But then when you go into a comedy club, is it like swinging a baseball bat with like the donut on it, and you take the donut off and all of a sudden it's easier?
Yeah, well, it used to be like when I started doing comedy in clubs and stuff, I'm trying to come up with material about everything that's going on in the entire world, you know? And it's just, I've kind of like narrowed the scope down. I mean, obviously on the internet, I'm talking about like jam bands. It's like, it's not even just music. It's like niche to the niche to the niche, you know? But like now that I'm like working in clubs again and stuff, I'm doing a little bit more like just talking about the concert going experience, or just talking about, you know, the music experience, or, you know, the holier than thou or headier than thou music listener. That is true, obviously, of Deadheads, but that's true in everything. You know, that's true in every genre, and so people can relate on that. And it's made the writing a little bit easier to kind of like simplify and narrow in a little bit on like what I'm making fun of.
Hell yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Killer pick. 2 contestants were equal distance off 1 year. Nick, our returning champ from Libertyville, Illinois, guessed 1988. Nick is 26. Yeah, why 88, Nick?
This was honestly just a bit of a hedge myself. I mean, Helena Bucket knew 87 to 89, really strong years. Wasn't sure which one it was. Started thinking 87, and then I heard a bit more 89 in it, so just played the game and went right in between. But Jerry's strong, everybody's strong, so yeah.
So when you say you heard more 89, that was Jerry's voice that was stronger, that pushed you towards 89?
A bit of Jerry's voice, and then just the way the rest of the band was playing. I mean, they're definitely still like big and electric in 87, but I still don't think they have as like round or as complete of a sound as they do when they get to 89.
Where does 88 fit in that timeline?
It's interesting because I don't know if I'm just listening to odds like a bunch from 88 or something, but for me, even though I know it stands the test of time that year, for me it just sounds a bit lighter, weaker, maybe a little hole or two in the sound, not as whole or as rounded as I was saying before, but still strong, of course.
You're on the next round, Nick. Billy is also on the next round. He gets 1990. Billy is 24 from Leeds, England. Billy, thanks for staying up till 2 a.m. to come on Guest the Year. You're on the next round. Why 1990?
Oh, it's my pleasure to be up so late doing this. I mean, like, so nice. I was listening to some 80s and 90s today. I thought that, like, Bobby was really enunciating, like, towards the, like, 90s. So that's what I thought I was hearing. But I also didn't think I was hearing Brent, so I really could have gone way off. I'm kind of lucky that I was so close.
Way to go, man. You're on in the next round. Joining you in the next round is Josiah. He guessed 1986. James guessed 84. Josiah is 25 from Charlottesville, Virginia. 86.
Yeah, I was hearing, I'm a guitar player myself, so I kind of go off Jerry's tone. I was definitely hearing that like 80s vibe, and I knew Hell in a Bucket was definitely that mid to late 80s. So I was kind of guessing. I didn't know exactly when, so I kind of hedged my bets right a little bit later towards the middle. So I went with 86 there.
Way to go, Josiah. You're on to the next round. James is 30 from Portland, Oregon. He gets 1984. Very reasonable for a Hell in the Bucket. But tell us about that one. And I love, is that the Oregon Dead shirt you got going on there?
This is an older one. My father-in-law actually got on the lot. Probably like 93, maybe a little before then, maybe even the Dylan and the Dead tour. But similar to what Billy said, like I couldn't really hear Brent like in my brain, so I scared myself and I went, maybe he's being quiet, maybe he isn't like full on Brent mode yet. So I went early, thought I was playing the game, and totally bungled it.
Too much knowledge for your own good that Brent was meek at the keys early on. How'd you get into the Dead?
Yeah. I was in high school going into my senior year. You're very impressionable. And I watched Freaks and Geeks, and the slapdash ending to that show is that someone hands her American Beauty. Someone hands Linda Cardellini American Beauty. And I go, what the hell is that? And then I was like, oh, I've seen that skull around. Oh, I've seen those bears around. And then probably for the next year, I listened to just American Beauty. I think that's a lot of Deadhead's first year of being a Deadhead. And then after that, probably a year listening to Veneta, Sunshine Daydream. That's right outside of Eugene. Both my parents grew up in Eugene. They actually got married on August 21st, 1993, and had their wedding reception at the Elks Lodge right across from Autzen Stadium. So they're all 300 people come from the church, all in the dressed to the nines for a Catholic wedding, and they're driving through the parking lot, and it's all tie-dye, and it's all my uncles were selling beer over the fence to the Deadheads, and my grandpa walked up to him, and he said, I think I bought that beer, and he got the cash from him. But my parents are otherwise not Deadheads, but that is like the closest they ever got to a Dead show, and I'm just lucky enough to have fallen in love with it myself. This music had found me, and I was lucky enough to share it with my brother and my cousins. My brother's a big fan of yours, Cam, and he's gonna laugh at me that I'm out first round, first boot. But yeah, really, really appreciative. Glad I could be here. Glad I could share in this music.
Dude, you've disappointed your brother, which is that's the most disappointing disappointment you can get. You're gonna get roasted.
I know.
That's how it works with my brother. I mean, I'm gonna get roasted on this show for calling something the wrong name or the wrong something. So yeah, you're fucked, man. I'm sorry.
Hearing your stories, like your show stories with your brother, that's exactly like what I've gotten to do with my brother and my cousin at the Sphere or at GD60 or on tour, and really love hearing those stories, and it brings me back.
How did you impart the Dead onto your cousins and brother?
Yeah, so I have one cousin, Austin, who plays guitar, and I play guitar really poorly. I play really poor rhythm for him, and he's really great. He's in a band, and we both fell in love with it ourselves through like loving guitar and through me finding it in high school. But our brothers, both of us have another brother who would like not, it wasn't connecting with them. And it wasn't until my cousin Austin's bachelor party, we went to the Sphere, we took them all there, and we were like, you just got to see it. And they were game, but they didn't know what they were missing. Once they saw it, they were hooked. And now we went back to the Sphere multiple times with them. GD60, like I said, we'll go to any cover band this summer. We got Dark Star Orchestra and J-Rad in like the same week in August here in Portland. So wherever we can get it, we're gonna get it.
And you said your dad is not a Deadhead, but your father-in-law is a Deadhead. Did being a Deadhead help you win him over?
Here's another thing. This is my father-in-law's shirt, but he passed away about a year into me knowing my wife, and this was in an old box of his, and he was a fan of like Casey Jones and Touch of Grey and most importantly Ripple, and that is his song. That's my wife's song. If she has a Dead song, she has a tattoo for him that's kind of a sound ripple of like a voicemail that's on her wrist, and so it's kind of a ripple tattoo. And I distinctly remember it was the last time we saw the Dead at the Sphere. I think it was April of 2025. They played Ripple as the encore, the kind of like the scrapbook encore they played at the Sphere. And my cousin Austin, he turned to me and he goes, "This is Les's song, right?" And that Les is my father-in-law's first name. And that really touched me. And I think that was the first time he'd ever used my father-in-law's first name. But yeah, that's just another way that this music like connects you through time, through life, through death, and all that. So.
Fucking Christ, James, beautiful. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you. These great questions. They really prompted some pretty cool memories.
And what a great tattoo. You know, what a good idea for a Ripple homage to actually just show a ripple. Like, beautiful.
Yeah, she's pretty cool.
Well, James, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Cam.
Nick, Josiah, and Billy are on to the next round. It's approaching 3 a.m. in Leeds. Let's hear Cam's next pick. The guesses are in. It was The Music Never Stopped at Alpine Valley Music Theater in East Troy, Wisconsin. On August 23rd, 1980, the tapers were Joni Walker and Paul Scott. I want to say off the bat, Cam did not request a tape, but it was the only thing I could find.
I was going to say.
Dude, there are no boards on Archive or YouTube or anything for that show. So there's a couple tapes circulating, and that's one of them. But yeah,
well,
hit it.
Yeah, that is something that I shows that you can't get the tape of, and like weekends that you can't get all of the tapes of, or things that I gravitate towards. Obviously, like once you start really nerding out about this stuff and you find out that there's stuff that you can't have, you're like, ooh, I want that more now. So yeah, this is the first weekend at Alpine Valley that the Dead ever played. It was open maybe 3 years before that, so this is when it was a new venue, and I just like thinking about Deadheads descending on Alpine Valley for the first time, along with people from the middle of the state in Wisconsin, who are just like the Dead going to Wisconsin at all, like some of those early shows where there are no recordings of I think it's like 74 that they go there, and they play a big like field festival like in the middle of nowhere, and there's no recording of that, and that is considered like the Midwest's Woodstock, because the counterculture had just finally made it to Wisconsin by 1970. Like for those guys it wraps up in 69, but for Wisconsin they're just getting it for the first time. And so like I like to think about some, farm working East Troy, Wisconsin people showing up in 1980 to be like, I wonder what this is all about, and just being like fucking blown away.
Yeah. So it seems like all of us are big fans of Best Show Ever, and I'm wondering when you realize that people recounting the best show of their lives would make for a good podcast.
I think that you guys, everyone on the panel here also falls under the category of young Deadhead. And so we've sat at Dead and Company shows or Fish shows around older heads before, and proven our worth by set break through dancing through the music or knowing the songs or, whatever, or not chomping or whatever it is. We did a good job as a showgoer. And then at set break, you strike up conversations with these old Deadheads or old Fish heads or whatever it might be. And inevitably, as someone who's interested in the history of these shows and getting every account possible of old shows, like I would be like, what's the best Dead show you ever saw, to these random folks that we're talking to, and you get the best story you've ever heard every single fucking time. It's just like, met my wife and we were up until 4 a.m. just talking to these random people, or like we hitchhiked all the way from Wisconsin out to Ventura, California in 1973, and we didn't have any money, or like just the craziest stories ever. And then you realize that that's true of musicians too. Like some of the cool musicians that I've gotten to interview are just fans like us that also, they were huge fans that were deeply a part of a music community and were also practicing on their instrument, and luckily fell into a situation where they get to tour themselves now. I love hearing the stories of a moment people got lit up by music, man. Like it's the best.
Totally. And that's such a good point. It kind of unites the musicians and the fans because they're fans too. Even like your interview with Tom Marshall, which was great. And he talked about he went to a Fish show that sucked. He's like, this show sucks. And like, even he can like think that a Fish show sucks. But if people haven't checked it out, best show ever. It's really, really good.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. Thank you, Cam. So the closest was Billy. He is going to be up until 4 because he's on to the finals. He guessed 1982. Why 82?
Yeah, I was thinking early 80s. I'm glad because I was putting in the work today, so it pays off. I was just dancing up and down from like 82 to 92, and hey, I mean, I'm glad it worked.
You're on to the finals. Way to go. Joining you is our defending champ, Nick. He guessed 83.
I was all over the place. First, I didn't necessarily hear any keys or Brent, and I felt that it was kind of slow. So I was weirdly starting in 76 land a little bit because I feel that that's a little slow before they pick it up between 77 and 78. Then by the end, I had heard Brent, and then it's probably just the nature of the odd recording, but it felt like it wasn't all clicking for the band, potentially even Jerry too. And so I guessed a little bit later in the 80s, early 80s, as things got a little rougher with 83. But I think I have listened to the show before. And what's the date of it? Was it June 23rd or what?
August 23rd.
August 23rd. Never mind.
Well, way to go, Nick. You're on to the final. It's funny that Billy mentioned he was between 82 and 92 because Josiah guessed 92. What were you hearing?
So I was just hearing like the big crowd in the audience recording. So I was like, that has to be like a big 90s stadium show because I couldn't really hear the audio that well. So it wasn't like the crispest like recording I've heard. So I was kind of taking a shot in the dark.
It was not crisp.
I couldn't hear
anything but crisp.
I barely heard the words. Josiah, how'd you get into the Dead?
So I started like back in high school. I had a bunch of friends who were listening to them, kind of like you were saying earlier, started off with American Beauty, kind of getting in there, and then kind of working my way through the other studio albums and then venturing out to the live ones. And then just been listening to them a whole lot over the last few years, going to as many like local Dead cover band shows as I can. I've been able to see Dead and Company twice. I got to see Bob Weir and Wolf Bros once when they came through to town. Seen a bunch of different bands. And then I just like to play guitar along to the Dead as well. And that's like my favorite thing to do, kind of just improvising along with it.
What makes a really good Dead cover band for you versus just like a band that's playing songs you like?
When they can like really get into it and they're all like jamming off of each other and everyone's listening to each other and like kind of getting the like how the Dead are letting the music play them.
And when you play, how do you improvise on top of a band that already has the instrument you're playing?
So I just I'll like run it through I'll like get it going on my laptop and like run it through my amp. I just figure out what key it's in and just jam along to it.
So you're like, you play like the third guitarist role, not Bobby or Jerry.
I mean, if anything, I'm doing definitely more like lead stuff, so more like Jerry-y stuff, kind of over the whole thing. But every now and then I'll throw some chords in there, get some Bobby-ness to it.
Are there a lot of Deadheads in Charlottesville?
Dude, it's a Dead like central, like you see Dead stickers everywhere. Anytime there's like a Dead cover band show, I'm like, oh, there's never gonna be like too many people here. And then like I know there was one time I like showed up, I was like down at like the front row of the theater that we got here, and I was on acid, and then I was like there early, so like I didn't see the whole crowd roll in, and then like they get to like set break between bands, and I like turn around, I'm like, holy shit,
Whoa.
Everyone's here, the whole town.
Do you have a limit for how many times per year you're willing to drop acid?
When I was first started doing it, I was definitely like doing it all the time, but as I've gotten older, It's now it's probably like a few times a year. I think I did it probably like 4 or 5 months ago. I did one. I feel like I'm more of a shrooms guy, or if I can get some DMT, that's nice 'cause it's 15 minutes and I'm back to reality.
You do DMT at shows?
I had a DMT pin once, and I did kind of hit that, and it was just kind of like doing it, not like enough to break through, but like just enough for like one hit kind of feels like you're on like a couple hits of acid.
Damn, I did not know people were doing DMT at shows.
I've had buddies that have done it at shows. I think it like depends on where you're sitting or what your scenario is. Like if you've got a seat, it's probably a good call.
Yeah, definitely
like
better for a seating.
Like I had a buddy who they had like the square on seat at MSG for New Year's, and like, no one's going to come into your row for a second. Yeah, that's probably, but like, yeah, standing still with the rest of the people in your town at a
Right, let me just pop off to another dimension real quick and be right back.
It's like run into your coworker and you're in the well of souls, it's like, you're like, you're going to have to give me like 2 minutes.
Right.
Right on, Josiah. Thanks so much for coming on Guest of the Year, dude. Great chatting.
Absolutely, dude. My pleasure. Glad to be here.
So we're gonna hear 3 tracks of Cam's choosing, and whoever is the least number of years off over the 3 tracks wins. Let's hear Cam's first pick of the finals.
Players all around with liquor and money, they load it down. So soon after payday, no, it seemed a shame. My uncle, he starts spinning a game. Hey, a high-low jack and the winner take the hand.
All right, the guesses are in. It was Me and My Uncle at the Fillmore West in San Francisco on April 9th, 1970. Cam.
So this is a weekend that I'm have been a little bit obsessed in researching recently. I moved out to the Bay Area like 2 years ago. And so now I get to go to all these amazing dead historical venues like the Warfield and, all these different places out here. And Fillmore West is maybe the holiest among them. When you walk into that place, it's just steeped in dead history and dead lore. And this is the weekend that they play a run of shows with Miles Davis. And you brought up Searching for the Sound earlier from Phil. Yeah, I'm reading that book right now. He talks about how deeply influenced he was by Miles Davis and John Coltrane. I mean, obviously, the best part of researching dead recordings is the time travel nature of it. Like it puts you back in that room, especially if you start doing some research about the night itself and, try to pull quotes from people. And, Miles Davis talks about how the Deadheads were talking through the beginning of his set and he eventually got them focused up. And like, I just like picturing, the early Deadheads are just like us, that's all they listen to. They have their head jammed up their ass with jam band music. And then they get turned on to Miles Davis, like that night. And I also like picturing what it does for the band, like thinking about a young Bob Weir stepping up to the mic, following Miles Davis, or with Miles Davis in the wings, or just with Miles Davis in the building, and he's like, all right, I'm going to clear my throat and do my first lyrics of the night. Like your knees have to be shaking a little bit. You're in the presence of greatness. I know what that does to me as a comic when there's like, a really great touring comic in the room or, something like that. It just makes you, it's like running with someone who's faster than you. You just naturally run a little faster. This is another weekend where you don't have all the recordings of the entire weekend. It just makes it a little bit more like interesting and mysterious. But you can hear in the beginning of this, Me and My Uncle, the tempo is just a little different than it normally would be in that time. It's almost like they're just like kind of bound and determined to be different that night because Miles is there. I wish we had the entire weekend and had it all in crystal clear, but we have the Me and My Uncle from the first night, first song, pretty clear, which is cool.
You improvise a lot on stage. Can you apply lessons you learn from the Grateful Dead and Miles Davis to comedy?
I just endless lessons. I mean, for me, that's what got me into the Dead and got me into this type of music. Is just there are endless lessons you can think about once you get into the music and start hearing the differences in between recordings. the Dead were amazing at saying yes to whatever they were given to start the song. If Bill for some reason is on some crazy tempo going fast, it's not like Jer's like turning around like, whoa, like slow it. He's just like, all right, we're playing it this fast tonight. You take what you're given, and you don't try to make something happen. You let it happen through you. And it's a really tough distinction. You can tell on Dead recordings when someone's trying to make something happen, and you can tell when it's just happening. And it's this weird thing in comedy where if you try to be funny, you are going to fail. But if you allow the moment to come to you and react naturally or honestly to it, like there's a better chance that you're actually going to come up with something that is honestly funny, and hits home. Like it's not only just like an exhale out your nose laugh. It's like a, oh fuck, that's me laugh. You're able to arrive at that a little bit quicker. Especially if you're going to work in improvisation, you have to be okay with knowing that there are nights it's just not going to happen. And that is even still true for me to this. I've been doing comedy for 10 years and have gotten to do some pretty big shows over the last couple of years. And I have bombed at some of those, like still. And it's, that's the agreement. If you are going to be dedicated to being open and free and allowing the moment to be king, that means that sometimes you are not the king. Actually, a lot of times you are not the king. Yeah.
Same with the Dead, obviously. What is the format for your show at Garcia's in Chicago?
The Garcia show is going to be a little more structured than my normal. Like if I do a half hour somewhere, it's all improvised. Especially now that I've got like deadheads and stuff showing up that love a little bit of failure. They love knowing that it's not all together, so it works. But this will be a little bit more of a professional put together outfit. It'll be like a late night show live. I'll come out and do like an opening monologue. I'm going to book a comic. I'm not going to release my guests yet because that's part of the hitch of the show. But I'll book a really great comic. We'll let them do their thing. I'll interview them a little bit about music and their life around music. I'll also book a band and bring them out to kind of do something with me and the comic in a late night style game or something. And then we'll have them close with some songs and a little bit of comedy, a little bit of music. And it's going down at Garcia's, which is I think Chicago people will know it's a kind of like a perfect spot for that. Like it's almost sets up like a comedy club a little bit. So hopefully it's a really fun night and we get a bunch of deadheads out.
Link in the show notes. That sounds awesome. Wish I could be there. Well, these guys were right on it. Nick got it exactly. 1970. Billy guessed 68. Nick, how the fuck do you know that was 70?
I didn't have it for sure, but just thinking about it, to me, it wasn't as pure and kind of as perfect of a sound as people associate with 72. So I started 71 and before, and then just didn't feel full psychedelic like 69 or something like that. So landed kind of right in the middle there with 70 as a transition year. So again, playing the game helped me out.
Way to go, man. And Billy, 68.
Yeah, I've never heard him sing it that way. Like he had crazy phrasing there. But I mean, if you're playing with jazz legends, then you'd be mixing things up, wouldn't you? I mean, like I thought it had to have been early, but 1970 really surprised me. I'm trying to hit singles here, trying to just get like close.
Oh, you lived in America. I was like, damn, that's a nice poll for
Yeah.
yeah, I guess we have to know, man. How'd you get into the Dead? Tell us your whole journey.
Yeah, my dad's an old man. He's 71 now, so like they just released his first show, at Dave's Picks, February 73 in Baltimore, I think. Yeah, really great show, really awesome. And then he was there for the RFK in 73 in DC. And talking about phrasing, like the Stella Blue, the beginning of that, Jerry's phrasing in the beginning of that at that show is so beautiful. I don't know, it's unlike any other show that I've ever heard. Like that was really sorry, but like yeah, I mean the Dead was just always on when I was a kid, like always on. And then like I got into high school and I started like downloading music onto my phone, and I was like, oh yeah, well, I'll put Truckin' on there or something, or like Casey Jones. And then sooner or later, I was just listening to the Dead all the time, all the time, all the time. And I was like, I grew up in America. I grew up in Maryland, in America's coolest small town, Berlin, Maryland. So like, there's Deadheads around, and then I moved here 5 years ago now, and there's nobody out here. It's, I am my friend's resident Deadhead. People think they're a heavy metal band. Everybody knows the Grateful Dead for like t-shirts in TK Maxx. So it's like it's not a mainstay like it is at home. I was in Copenhagen a couple years ago, and I saw a guy in a Dead and Co sweatshirt, and I was like, "Oh, hey!" And he was like, "We're everywhere." And to him, it was like, he meets Deadheads all the time, and I was so excited to get one in the flesh. Uh,
Who are you rooting for in the World Cup?
England.
Sure.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I mean, love the US, but no, he's coming home.
What drew you to England? And are you there forever, you think?
Yeah. Well, maybe not here forever, but like nothing is drawing me back home. My mum is from here. She her sister said to me when I was in high school, like, "What are you gonna do when you finish?" And I didn't really have a good answer. She said, "Come live with me for a year." So I came over here, and then I decided to go to university here, and I've graduated now. Like, I was living in London with her, and then I came up to Leeds, and Leeds is so nice. It's beautiful. Like, it's such a nice city. It's like the same size as Denver or something, but like, I like it here. I like it here. But I don't really know what's going on. I don't know. I'm living like by the seat of my pants. I don't know where I'll be next year. So,
What do you like better about the English lifestyle?
oh, there's a warmth to it that there is not at home. I don't know. Like, the way that people like take the piss out of each other here is so unique. They can be quite like mean, but it's so nice and warm-hearted, and like there's a different air about here. I tell you, the worst thing is the sky. I'm in the north of England now, and God, in the wintertime, the sun is out for maybe half an hour a day. It's absolutely unbelievable. I can't take it. I never thought that I would miss the sun.
That's why people are funnier over there.
Yeah, well,
There's something funny about a beautiful day.
I know. Well, you've got the comedian on
Yeah. Cam, do you feel like there's more?
it.
I feel like there is a thing where like there are more East Coast comedians. I guess there's a lot of people on the East
We're
Coast.
funnier.
But do you think that's like a thing? Does shitty weather make people funnier?
First of all, I was funnier in Chicago. Wasn't just talking about jam bands. No, I mean, I think, and I'm also a little bit biased because I'm from that area and these people talk like my family, but I think that people from Chicago I think everyone is funny in Chicago. Like, even people who are not trying to be funny, it's actually mostly the case. Like, any Uber driver, any guy that's like running a restaurant or whatever, there's like so many people who are just fucking hilarious, dude, and like witty, and are operate on the frequency of joking. And now I live in California, and some people are like, "Oh, you were joking," and I'm like, "Yeah, let's catch up, everyone, huh?" Like a little bit. At least that's what it feels like. I don't know. And I think New York and the East Coast and like the tri-state area is even more of that. Like I feel at home there too a little bit. Like if I'm out in Jersey or if I'm out in New York, like there's something about the people, working at a diner there or working at, a hot dog stand or just normal people on the train or bus or something that I'm like, they're just fucking hilarious. And out here, it's beautiful and there's like cliffs and the ocean and everyone's just like at peace, and everyone's like good out here. No one has to fucking joke about how shitty their life is.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of like a level of like I'm free through the days a lot, and so I'll go into the city to do writing or something, and it's almost I'll like I'll ask someone something, and it's almost like the vibe is like, "Are you talking to me right now? Like, are you like having a conversation? If you could set up a Calendly first, that would be great. We could do a video call later." Like, and then New York, it's just like people just like stop you and start talking to you, and you're just like, "Okay, what? Am I talking to this guy? What's going on?" Like, you're like, the roles reverse at least.
Thank you, Billy. You have 2 years to make up on Nick, who has 0. Let's hear Cam's second selection. All right, the guesses are in. Funicula at Oakland Alameda County Coliseum in Oakland, California on July 24th, 1987. Lovely choice.
Thank you so much. One of their most beautiful pieces of music, I think. So this opens the Oakland Coliseum show in 1987. They are standing in front of a massive stadium of people in the Bay Area. Deadheads are foaming at the mouth, waiting for the show to start. And they come out and do this to open the show. They are tuning up. They're figuring out their sound or whatever. This is something that they would do decades before, happened a lot in 77 and 76. And so this was kind of my throw you guys off one. But in what we were talking about earlier about delighting in whatever's going on stage, like the smile on their faces while they are making their crowd wait as they just pluck through this, they're just in such delight, and they are in front of a huge crowd of people. I mean, I can't emphasize enough. I've been in Oakland Coliseum. I was at one of the last A's games. I've stood in that stadium and thought about this moment exactly. Just being like, dude, like, I cannot imagine the amount of heads and faces that you see in the crowd, and you're like, like it's like so deeply hilarious to me. The rest of the show ends up being fantastic, and there's a really great 4K pro shot video that they busted out from the vault during COVID that is on YouTube. You can watch this entire show, and it's just so funny. It's another lesson again from the Dead, and just delighting in what you're doing on stage, even if it's just maybe not even worth paying to see.
Do you allow yourself a one for me joke in your act?
Yeah, of course. And especially like in the improv thing, like anytime anything's going well, you're like, all right, let's see how long we can do this. Like, let's see how long this is funny. Maybe we'll even lose people and then get them back again or something. And at some point at the end of that run of jokes, those are for me. Those are no longer like working, and they're just for me. So,
do you have any like I guess it's like anti-comedy comedians? Are you into that, like Tim Heidecker character, alienate the audience? Are you into that as well?
Yeah. I mean, I'm super into Tim and Eric, and I'm super into the alt comedy thing, and Chicago as a comedy scene is great for that because, first of all, Chicago crowds know that they're going to maybe see some improv or some sketch comedy, where other areas of the country, that is just whack, unbelievably lame to see live. But in Chicago, the audience knows that, the performers there take improvisation or sketch comedy or alt comedy or anti-comedy. They take it really seriously. And so like the trick is like, everything is good if it's done well. If you've done it with commitment and you meant it, and it wasn't just like fucking around, and that's like what the Grateful Dead is. Like they're not Pink Floyd exactness psychedelia, right? Like Pink Floyd is like exact perfect notes played perfectly, like, and placed perfectly. And the Dead is like, there's gonna be fucking notes all over the place. We got no idea what this is gonna be, but it's taken deathly seriously. Like Phil said, that wherever we play is church, like they took it. It's not like they're like, whatever, we don't give a shit. they gave a lot of shits. And so, yeah, the anti thing, it can be confused as this guy doesn't care or this performer thinks they're better than this moment, but it's actually someone who is like committing deeply hard to something that they know is probably not going to work. At least that's how I see it.
I couldn't agree more. It's like Neil Hamburger goes up there with an hour of jokes memorized. He's not like shooting from the hip. He's has an act. Um, Nick was closer. He guessed 1980. Billy guessed 1979. So you guys were thinking the same thing. It didn't affect the score too much. Yeah, Nick, 1980.
Yeah, as you could tell, I was at a total loss there. I mean, honestly, just with it being the audience recording, it felt like it had that early 80s sound compared to like a larger, even though I know they're both largely electric years, a bigger electric sound in 87. And I mean, I felt like I heard Plinky Brent and then just stuff reminiscent of Dead Ahead. And I think I brought that up last show, but just like kind of that classic 80s sound. And so just kind of tossed it out there based on what I was hearing.
Billy, you're kind of hearing the same thing, at least in yours proximity.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was hearing. 79 seemed as good a guess as any to me. I was petrified. I thought I'd laid an egg, but Nick, you saved me. Thank you.
Oh, I thought I was, yeah, you could have been much better than there. So both ways, man. Likewise.
Go back. A really good deep dive is to listen to every funicula of all time. No, that's a maddening afternoon. Don't do that. I'm just kidding.
Well, as you say, you could probably do it in
That's
2
a really good way
hours.
to go. That's a good way to go crazy. Don't do that.
All right, Nick has 7, Billy has 10. Let's hear the third and possibly final track of Cam's choosing. Okay, the guesses are in. It was Shakedown Street at Barton Hall in Ithaca, New York, Cornell University, on May 16th, 1981. Cam, funky tune. Tell us about it.
There are some Dead tunes and some Dead shows that I know note for note. I just listen to them to if I had the tape of it, it'd be played out. Like if I had the CD, it would have spun 10 million times. And this Shakedown Street, it's not one that I've listened to recently. I probably haven't listened to it in the last like 6 or 7 years. But when I was living in Chicago, and had a bunch of downloaded music on my phone, like this was one of the Dead tunes I had downloaded, making sure that when I was losing Wi-Fi or losing service on the train or something, I always had at least something in the tank to listen to. And I have listened to this exact Shakedown Street and that exact little run of riffs from Jer there like 10 million times. I mean, so many times. Such a good one. 81 is such a great year anyway. And this particular Shakedown Street is just, maybe my favorite. I don't know. Probably has to be.
Okay, let's leave the fellas in limbo for another minute. Cam, how did you get into the Dead?
This is going to be sacrilegious on this podcast. We talk about the Grateful Dead, but I was a Fish fan first. I got an older brother who's 10 years older than me who was a huge Fish fan. Got me into them through working at our parents' restaurant together. He was one of the head chefs. I was bussing tables or delivering pizzas or working on the pizza line, and that's what they were listening to. Fish constantly, always, only in the kitchen. And so in the same time when I'm like 12, 13, I'm getting into like LimeWire was a big deal back in the day for me. You would ruin your parents' computer by just downloading things illegally off LimeWire and Napster. And you could download full years of shows. And so I started doing Fish research first and very quickly, listen. It was a similar thing. Like, someone mentioned having Casey Jones and, Truckin' on their iPod. I did the same thing, and then it was just very quickly like listen to that one Truckin' 100 times, listen to the show that Truckin' was from 100 times. Now listen to the next show. Wait, hold on, maybe we should download this whole year. And it was really fun research to do when I wasn't doing homework. Like I was doing deep dive research on things that I was not in school for, and so but none of my friends were really into it. It's not like I had a bunch of deadhead buddies at 12 and 13 or like fish head buddies at that age. It was just something that I thought was cool in the same way that I was looking up like freestyle rapping at the time, like it was like just listening to as much music as possible. And I really liked stuff that was done live. And I liked knowing that something was made up on the spot. That's always been the case. And then as I get older and, have my own influences, I kind of fall away from that stuff a little bit and, just go to concerts to party and, have a good time with my friends. It's not really so much about the music. But as I get into comedy in Chicago and I'm doing the improv thing, the Dead just become a huge, huge teacher through that time, and Fish as well. But the Dead that's when I really dive in. It's like maybe like 23, 24. And I'm just using it as like a Bible for improvisation and just like risk taking and researching all of their shows and like researching accounts of the evenings and their tours and all that kind of stuff. And it's just these guys taking their lives to an extreme, and just going out on a fucking limb to make a dream happen. And that's what it felt like for me in a very small scale at Chicago at the time. And so, yeah, they're just like one of the biggest sources of inspiration you could ever have as a creative in any field.
If someone's like, Cam, I know you like jam band stuff. I want to get into jam bands. Would you recommend to that person Fish or the Grateful Dead?
I think that the Grateful Dead is a little bit more of an accessible point for people music-wise. I think that they are able to draw a parallel to something else that they like. And while it's free and open musically, it's also deeply serious. And so there's a lot of stuff that you can connect to in a very deep and meaningful way immediately. And you can also do the thing where you like just tell your buddies like, hey, this is a really good place to take mushrooms if you want to come with me to this Dead show. Like it's also that. And so listening wise, I feel like it's showing Fish to someone is a little bit more of an inside joke. Showing the Grateful Dead to someone is like turning them on to, one of the greatest, it's not even like a music pursuit. It's like one of the greatest art pursuits in the history of our country, and Fish is just a blast, like I love them, and they are also deep and serious in their own ways once you get into it. But from a surface level perspective, like giving someone the Grateful Dead feels like something like that everyone should experience in their life. It's like one of the great things that life has to offer is listening to that music. And if you really like it, I got some weird shit for you too, like like Fish and Ween and whatever, you know.
Amazing pick to end a series of amazing picks. Nick was closer. He guessed 83, so he finishes with 9 years off. Billy guessed 84. He finishes with 11 years off. Nick, congratulations. You are the repeat champ of Guest the Year. Why 83?
Honestly, I was searching for whatever I could get there. First off, not even getting into the analysis of my guests here, but Phil sounded really jazzy on that. I mean, that sounded pretty sick. So I at least wanted to talk about that. But felt like I had plinky keys and maybe a little bit surprised that it's 81 because I mean I just associate Jerry being a bit faster and maybe just a little bit more thin with the music, staccato and the like. And so I wasn't hearing that. So I went a little bit later in the 80s, but happy I ended up in the right ballpark.
Congrats, Nick. Nice playing. And Billy, great playing. 84, reasonable guess. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, I pulled the classic, like, you said 81, and I was like, oh, it sounds like 81. No, I don't know, it just sounded fat, thick. I felt like it really like, I don't know, like gravy kind of. It was not, It was I don't know. It was 84. It was 84 until it wasn't. So
When I looked it up today and I pulled this clip, I could have sworn I was looking for it in 84, just so you know. I forgot. I didn't remember that it was in
that's
84.
so nice. That's brilliant.
Billy, congrats on your nice run, and thank you for coming on and staying up.
Oh, thank you for having me. This has really been wonderful. Like, thank you so much because this is the whole thing. I mean, it's been wonderful. I started listening to this like a few years ago. I started uni and like this has just been it's such a wonderful use of my time every week, let alone tonight has been such a wonderful use of my time. So
Oh,
thank you
listening to
so
Guest of the
much.
Year? Thanks, man. Billy, appreciate it, dude.
Of course.
And Nick, congrats, man.
Thanks. No, just a long-time listener, first-time caller situation, and the ride keeps going. Awesome stuff.
Cheers, Nick. And Cam, best show ever. Garcia's August 29th. Tickets are available now. Cam, thank you so much for coming on.
Man, thank you for having me. And thank you for all the compliments about best show ever. This is such a great idea for a show, man. I mean, such a great game to play with buddies. I know that since knowing about Guest of the Year, this is something that I do with my buddies now when we're in the car. Like, it's fun to play the game and see how much you think you know, and knock yourself down a peg by being eight years off or whatever. Like, it's such a good idea for a show. Thanks for having me on, man. This was a blast.
Thanks, Cam. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you again, Cam. Best show ever. And his links to the show at Garcia's are in the show notes, as well as Cam's incredible Instagram account. If you want to be a contestant on the show, sponsor the show, or make comments and ask questions, email us, info@guestoftheyear.net. Shout out to Dylan, James, and Jack for helping out behind the scenes. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks to the amazing tapers whose recordings made the show possible. Congratulations, Nick, on going back to back. And to other contestants, thanks for playing. And remember, it's all one song anyway.
And I bid you good night, good night, good night. And I bid you good night, good night, good night.